Hello, world. I just want to be real and I want to be honest right now. So that's why I'm choosing not to wait until later when I might be at a better point. Um, I want these to be real, I want these to be authentic, and I really want you to hear what I'm about to say. Um, and I think also, these videos help me process too as well. I'm a kind of um, talking out loud kind of processor. So, bear with me, and we'll see where Jesus leads to this because I know He will. So tonight, my class started talking about healing and started to get really um, graphic with it and really deep. And honestly, for me, it scared me, and I pushed away. I freaked out and I pushed away. And I couldn't stay. I have come a long way and I've gone through a lot in that process, but it felt forceful what was going on, and I wasn't ready for it. So I left. And I'm here now. Um, Kind of been dulling my mind with Facebook and talking to God and trying to calm myself back down. But I wanted to be real and authentic in the fact that that did happen. What I felt was totally valid. I just couldn't stay. And I think sometimes we end up in those places where we can push ourselves, and other times we just can't. And tonight was one of those times. And so even though I have these regrets in my mind right now about leaving the group and about what I was feeling, I don't think God's mad at me. He might be a little disappointed. I'm not strong enough to handle it. But I have these trigger points, and sometimes I don't like those lines crossed. And there are very certain lines that I know myself that I don't like crossed. There's a reason why I have certain walls, and there's a reason why I have certain hold on a sec. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know why. I'm getting random messages, but there's a reason, and I know those. And for someone to tell me point blank that I shouldn't have those walls and that they should be gone, and to go somewhere that I walled off for a reason, I'm not okay with that. Now, if it's someone I really trust and someone who I can put a lot of faith in and look up to and am close to, then yeah, I would be okay, poking the sleeping lion to a point. But when it's someone who's like, I have all this experience and this is what we're going to do tonight, I'm kind of like, no, I'm not okay with that. So I'm not poking no sleeping lions tonight. They got roused a little bit and it freaked me out, and that was enough. I shut them right back down. I taped those lions' mouths shut because that's right now where I am. I know I have a lot more to work with, but I was really, really wounded in counseling. Really hurt. And I know what they're trying to do tonight was not counseling, but it really hurt and brought back things. I'm a social worker, so I have total respect for counselors and those who do their job. But you won't find me in a counseling room, not ever again, for the simple fact of the way I've been treated. And I don't need someone to tell me I have problems, because I know I do, and I don't need someone to start pointing and poking things that don't need poked right now. So if I know you and I trust you, and I think what you have to say is valid, I will believe you and I will poke. But to other people, no. Just back off. Leave me be. I've come a long way. I have a long way more to go. But that's a journey between Jesus and I. I don't need to poke no sleeping lions unless Jesus says go poke those lions. And I don't feel him right now saying go poke those lions. So I'm really, really unsettled tonight, and I'm really, really upset. And that's just me being real and authentic. And I'm sure you can hear it in my voice. But I really am. Because it feels a violation and a wrong. It's what it really feels like. And I'm sure many of you have experienced that as well. People putting their noses where they shouldn't be and pushing things that they shouldn't be pushing. And really, sometimes when you're in that place, you just need someone to listen and someone to care and someone to hold you well. You don't need someone to start taking a branding iron and whacking you with it. Because it hurts and it's scary and it's lonely. And maybe if we're in church, maybe I could do it, you know. But over Zoom when I'm alone in my room, that's asking for trouble. And I know myself way too well to go that avenue. I haven't overcome all I overcame to end up being put back into that place where I'm a danger to myself again. And I know my limits, so I stepped out. But the Lord has told me to read a few chapters in Mark and Luke, so I'm going to share those with you. And like I said, I just want to be real and authentic tonight. And it's hard for me to be this way, but I mean, today was great. God really showed through today. It was an amazing church service. It was awesome. I got 2 Instacart orders in between, church and class. I wish I had a heads up what class was going to be like, because then I could still be out there doing Instacart orders. But that's beside the fact. I am actually now resting, and I don't really know what to do with that, because being my own boss and doing Instacart orders is a happiness place for me right now. It's a ministry, something I can do, it's something I can earn, and I find Jesus. It sounds weird, but I find Jesus in my car, and I find Jesus when I'm working and doing these orders. And I find him, sometimes like when I'm doing the orders, it's really cool because I'll go to an aisle and there'll be one item that I need, and it'll be the last item on that shelf. And it feels like Jesus put it there just waiting perfectly for me. Because our goal is to fulfill, our customers' orders. And a lot of these shelves are empty. And it's really cool when you go to a shelf and there's only one item left of that item. And that's the perfect item you need, Or, like, maybe that item is all out. And then there's one item left that you can replace it with. And it just feels like Jesus' hand in that. And that's so cool. And I love when those instances happen. Like today, I went down the aisle and I was like, crap, they're out of marshmallows. But there was one pack of marshmallows clear in the back. It was like Jesus had hid it there for me. So, I mean, shopping for me is a lot of fun. It feels like an Easter egg hunt, really. It's a really big blessing. And I was talking to someone today, and they're like, you're crazy. Like, shopping is not fun. And I'm thinking, well, I guess not to some people. But to me, it's a blessing. Because, I mean, I was doing one order, and I'm starting to learn some tricks and trades of it, and really how to engage with my customer through chat, and making sure I fulfilled the order correctly. And it was really cool because as I was going, I told her, if you want me to alter anything, just let me know. And she was like multiple times, like, oh crap, I forgot to add this. Can you add this? Well, let me go check. And my word for these a lot of times are no problem. That is my go-to word, no problem. And sometimes I put a little smiley face, to give them a little bit like, hey, it's no problem, I'll take care of it for you. And it was actually really cool because I was able to get that one order done in an hour, and I added like 3 or 4 different items that she wanted and replaced. And she was a very hands-on customer, so she was really involved and engaged in what I was shopping for her. So that was really cool to see. But obviously, I found out real quick she had kids, infants particularly, and this is a mother who couldn't really leave the house either for her kids' safety, or maybe she didn't have anyone to watch them and she didn't want to drive them to the store. And I was able to bless her. I was able to get all of her groceries, get the extra stuff she needed. I couldn't find toilet paper or cleaning supplies, but for the most part, I was able to fulfill everything on there, and everything was replaced. And that was just so cool to see. And now I feel like there's so much of God when I do this. The technology has been awful, and I'm having a lot of trouble with that, and that is a huge anxiety and stressor point for me. But just be able to go out there and perform this ministry is just incredible. I make my own hours. I take my own breaks, which I have to really work on. Um, but I get paid for it. And I get good pay. And even if it's $20, for an hour and a half, I, at the end of the day, get to brighten up someone's day. I mean, there's people in the store I can brighten up their day. There's, my customers I can brighten up their day. People I meet along the way I can brighten up their day. I mean, today I was really in a hurry and really efficient, really snappy. So I didn't interact as much as I could have. But it was cool because I did get to interact some. And it was really cool too because the lady, like, at the end, like, she came out and got her groceries and I got to wave at her. And, she preferred if I actually had contacted, but I knew that with COVID-19 it probably was best just leave the groceries on the doorstep. It's just smart. Being smart, really. But it was just so cool to see God move through that. And I've really, really found God. My first day, oh my goodness. At the end of the day, I was like, wait, where was God in that? But now I'm like talking constantly to God. Now I'm like in constant communication and laughing and finding joy. And I'm like, okay, God, we're going down this aisle. Please let the item be there, or teasing God. I'm like, all right, let's go do this, we got 5 more minutes. But just fun little things like that. And I'm really finding peace within it and a lot of joy. I just hope my car holds out until I can get, some way to get another car. But I'm working hard. And it might seem like I'm overworking myself. And it might seem a workaholic because I am. If I had the choice, I could be a workaholic. But right now I have to get a deposit. And right now I have to get rent money. And right now I have to pay my bills. And right now I need to get money for a car. So that's a lot of money I need right now. And it's not just going to magically appear in thin air. No matter how much I pray for it. I got to work hard for it. And I need to pray to God and ask for his blessing and his trust. And this feels like an absolute financial miracle. So I'm going to take full advantage of it. And I don't feel like I'm at all in a bad place. I feel like I'm at an amazing place. And earlier today, like, I struggled with some things. I almost went down a dark alley, but the Lord corrected me. He's good about that. And it was really cool because this morning before church started, like, I just turned on some music. My favorite is Upper Room. And I just turned on some music and was just able to rest in that up until pretty much the church service because it was my living room service. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, and I was able to put myself back into a safe place where the Lord was like, you know what? You don't need to be afraid. And that was his words. You don't need to be afraid. And I found confirmation again today and had myself reaffirmed that I didn't need to be afraid. But there's a lot I feel like I need to be afraid of. And the Lord to keep showing me that, no, it's going to be okay. I got you. And that's really where it is, Even if you have walls up, you and Jesus could be behind those walls. Jesus could be in front of those walls. He can be sitting on top of that wall, be Humpty Dumpty, Like, just because there's a wall there doesn't mean you can't have Jesus near you. I don't believe that. And I really struggle when people are saying things like that. Because I feel so connected to Jesus. Maybe there's not a floodgate per se and a flooding in that area. But I'm not ready for that gate to be open, I'm not ready to be tormented to get to that place. So, yeah, maybe Jesus has set up the wall. Maybe he has to dance on the wall for my attention sometimes. But I have those walls up for certain reasons. And they've kept me pretty safe. And they've kept me pretty good. And I'm not ashamed of it at all. I think we all have walls. And I think some of us have walls that just are better put up than not at all. Because there are certain parts of my past I don't want to face. And I don't want to address. And I want to forget they ever even existed. There might have been some goodness through them. And there might have been some Jesus. But there's some walls that are just, that let you forget. And that's what you need to remind yourself sometimes, that you just need to forget certain things. And if a wall's gonna do it, well, then make it brick and mortar and everything else, and that's okay. Be where you are right now. That's really what honestly it is. And I don't go for the whole switch and transform and be somebody that you should be, because that'll happen. If you're with Jesus, he'll take you there. He's taken me down so many different paths, and he's taken me down so many different gravel and sandstone and, taking me to cliffs and sand dunes. I mean, he's taking me all different paths, forests, like mountains. Jesus will take you there. Maybe it would be faster if you could tear down those walls instantaneously, but Jesus will get you there. I was during worship today, I was sitting on the floor and I don't really feel comfortable, dancing and praising Jesus in the basement or my room. So I found a really neat outlet of painting during worship, actually, and losing myself in the words and just allowing God to pour through my paintbrush. And I created some really three pieces again, and this time, and some really cool things. And it was like after I did one, I was like, I kind of knew where I was going, but I kind of didn't. And at the end, I just felt Jesus talk to me about what it meant. And I was like, whoa, like, it's a memorial piece. It's a heartbreaking memorial piece. And I felt like crying because it was significant to this time and what's going on. And then after that, the Lord started speaking to me about Italy. And I was blown away. And I was like, how am I supposed to paint Italy? Like, and what's going on in Italy? I didn't. That was not the Lord's intention. But his intention was to paint through that sorrow and that pain that I was feeling to create something beautiful and unique. And I'm not exactly fully sure what it's called. I'm not sure if it's destiny or if it's dreams or something like that. Still going to work on the name on that. But to go from just painting to feeling what is going on in the world through this COVID-19, whether it's in Arizona and the Navajos being just hit hard, and that's really passionate to me because I had a really dear Christian brother at one point who was from Arizona in the Navajo Nation, and to think the devastating effect this virus is having on them right now just breaks my heart. And then to have Italy come after that, God really wanted me to pray and really sit in that moment and paint through it. I didn't paint darkness. That used to be my painting thing. I used to paint such dark images and really try to tap into pain and sorrow in a very graphic way. But Jesus doesn't want that from me. It's not my style. Instead, he's able to paint beauty and imagination. Maybe that's what I'll call his imagination. But he wants me to paint something that's gonna open people's eyes and make them really think. And so I'm now able to paint beauty through the ashes. Ooh, I love that. But yeah, that's really what it is painting beauty through the ashes. I should really consider looking into that. But yeah, so it's really cool how God moved. And I really want to speak more to this church service, but I don't feel like this is opportune at this moment where I'm at. So I will say that for tomorrow. Excuse me. But I'm going to read a little bit of the Bible, and then I'm going to say goodnight to you all and wish you all a wonderful night and that you stay safe and be blessed. So I'm just going to read a few passages. So in Mark 5, what stood out to me was Mark 5:30. Jesus knew at once that someone had touched him, for he felt the power that always surged around him had passed through him for someone to be healed. He turned and spoke to the crowd, saying, "Who touched my clothes?" His disciples answered, "What do you mean, who touched you? Look at this huge crowd. They're all pressing up against you." But Jesus' eyes swept across the crowd, looking for the one who had touched him for healing. When the woman who experienced this miracle realized what had happened to her, she came before him, trembling with fear, and threw herself down at his feet, saying, "I was the one who touched you." And she told him her story of what had just happened. Then Jesus said to her, "Daughter, because you dared to believe, your faith has healed you. Go with peace in your heart and be free from your suffering." Wow. That part just really stood out to me. This woman, not only in her faith of touching Jesus in the crowd, but believing when she touched him that he would heal her instantly, and then realizing it happened. But I just think of myself, like, oftentimes in that same place, so desperate to be healed that we're constantly reaching out and grabbing and yearning for Jesus to heal or to speak over us or something of that nature. But I love that part where it says the woman who realized, what had happened to her. She then came to Jesus trembling and threw herself down at his feet. She was so afraid because she touched him or what would happen. And Jesus did nothing but simply loved her in that moment, and he commended her for her faith. Like, how wonderful is that? I remember, like, when I got when I rededicated myself to Jesus, I remember, like, literally lying on the ground and tears and trembling and seeing myself, in the image of Mary at Jesus's feet. That was what I saw. And this woman has postured herself in the same way at Jesus's feet, literal feet, and, terrified. And Jesus is just loving her and commending her for her faith. I find that just so beautiful. And the other passage that came to mind was Luke. I think it was Luke 5. I don't really fully want to read it, I don't think. Oh, yeah, I guess I will. Jesus sat down and taught the people from the boat. When he had finished, he said to Peter, "Now row out to deep water to cast your nets, and you'll have a great catch." "Master," Peter replied, "we've just come back from fishing all night and didn't catch a thing. But if you insist, we'll go out again and let down our nets because of your word." When they pulled up their nets, they were shocked to see a huge catch of fish, so much that their nets were ready to burst. They waved to their business partners in the other boat for help. They ended up completely filling both boats with fish until their boats began to sink. Wow. That's only like a small portion of it, but that part stood out to me. And that's Luke 5. When the Lord whispered to me, Mark 5, he also kind of said Luke. And I was like, Mark, was it Luke or Mark you want me to read? But I guess he wanted me to read both. But just imagine that. Like, again, it's a picture of faith. I think that's Jesus' message tonight, is just the act of faith, They say, like, Jesus, we've already fished. We've caught nothing. Why do you want us to do this again? And Jesus is like, have faith. Go out there. Cast your nets. See what you catch. And out of faith, they were like, okay, we'll do it. And guess what? They overfilled their boat. They even needed extra help and called people to come over and help them. How incredible is that? How incredible is Jesus? And those are both acts of faith, strong acts of faith. The woman who touched his cloak because she believed that she would be healed, and then was so terrified, the repercussion, because even through her faith, she had an awe and a fear of God. But that's such a big representation, of who he is. Something from church today they spoke to was that he's not just a compassionate father, he's also an all-consuming fire. And this woman in Mark 5, she recognized that, and she saw that, and she felt that. And in this one, Peter is, how do I want to word it? And in this one, like, he's filled with doubts. Why should he cast the net stuff? But he still does it. Because maybe, like, within those doubts, he still has this hope that it will happen. And Jesus, fulfills it. Jesus shows him that that's all he had to do was have a smidgen mustard seed of faith. Because that mustard seed will continue to grow into the most big and beautiful tree. And that's really what it comes down to. We just need mustard seeds of faith. Because they'll grow. They may be so tiny and so invisible at the moment, but they're going to grow. And maybe we're not where we're supposed to be right now, Maybe we're not at the point where we can do certain things or be in certain things. And that's okay. My faith may be a mustard seed. My faith may be a sprout of a mustard seed. It may be a tiny limb of a mustard seed. But it will grow into a big, beautiful tree. But maybe today it's not supposed to. Maybe today is more about lessons and getting into the Word, because if I had still been in class, I wouldn't have processed through this way. And I wouldn't have read these 2 verses. So, I really think everything does happen for a reason. So I don't have a lot of shame, maybe some regrets, but not shame. And I'm just grateful that the Lord is able to use this and let me be real and authentic with you all, and share these messages, because Mark 5 is amazing and Luke 5 is amazing, and I definitely suggest reading them. And I don't want to pull anything out of context, so I don't want to go too much further. But I want to wish you all a wonderful night, and I love you guys. A virtual hug. All right, bye.